Hello there, and welcome to episode 6 of It Sure Is a Podcast, and it certainly is a podcast. I am in the middle of rearranging, moving, getting rid of some things, and let me tell you, my setup right now is less than ideal. Less than ideal. The quality, I believe, has stepped up a little bit, just because of how I have things set up, and I'm running all the sound equipment on a brand new computer, which I'm probably going to have to edit a lot of stuff out. And now that I say that, I'm envisioning that. Because my goal is to at least do this once a week. And now that, we have a few episodes under our belt, it can be more consistent. And I wasn't able to actually get to it until today, which is, right now it's a Sunday. Hopefully it gets out today, but who knows. The work week has just been hell. Just been hell. And be sure you like what you do, or pretty close to that, because even then, it's still going to be hell. And what I do right now, it is just, it's hell. And I almost didn't record anything or think about doing anything, but that, in the creative mindset, that is where you start to falter. That is where things start to go downhill, and you keep pushing it off and pushing it off. And if you really want to do something, and you really want to be committed, you have to push yourself through it. And that's what I'm doing right now. So welcome to the podcast where I'm forcing myself to do it. There is good news though. The children's book I've been working on has gone into the first rough draft stage. Pretty much it is set up where all the characters, all the text, all the background stuff is all in place. So after we have a little team meeting and we look over it and we talk about it and do stuff like that, we're going to have a good idea where we're at, which is very nice. And I'm actually super impressed I made it this far, So be sure you find that one thing, that you actually are impressed with yourself. And I was actually having a good chat with a good friend, which hopefully one day I would love to get onto the podcast. And he was talking about his interest in writing and creating worlds. However, he is in the same boat I am, where we struggle to find the ambition to go through with it, just because on the other end of it, there is so much unknown. Whenever you start a project, unless you've been going to school for it and you have this deep, vast knowledge about it, there's a good chance that you have no idea what's going on or what's going to happen. Are we going to be able to pull this off, put this together? And when I say we, sometimes you don't have a group and it's just you, and you're teaching yourself, and you have to keep yourself accountable, and you have to keep yourself in check with, having a schedule, having a routine, something you put together. It's tough. It's tough out here for a pimp. I just threw up in my mouth saying it because that's like absolutely the opposite person of what I am exactly. So my setup right now, I'm using the original table I used to be able to record stuff. However, it is all hooked up to my computer, which is much nicer than the one I was using. And I've been already going back and kind of listening to the quality, and the quality is much better. Also, the file will be directly on the computer where I edit, so I'm taking one step out. However, there's a cord running across my little space down here that goes over to the computer behind it into a USB port, and then I have to bring myself all the way over here. And also the mic is really good about picking up stuff again. So when I was getting set up, I just had the recording on just to see how much it would pick up. And me just sitting in my chair, moving in my chair, it would pick up the sound. So I'm sitting here perfectly still, just waiting. Just waiting to be able to finish this. And I even earlier, I was doing some recording and I'm like, okay, I have a little gas, I'm going to let that scoot out a little bit. Just a little. And the mic picked it up so clearly. And I'm like, that was so quiet. So I got to be careful. No more farting on the podcast. That's what I learned. But I'm on the other side of the room and I can see the monitor over there and there's sound waves and stuff. So I hope it's all going good. I don't know if I'll really want to be in the mindset to record this again. We'll see though. As I said, as with the work week went, I wanted to do a backflip off a cliff. Or just fake my death. And then, work at jobs under the table. Have you ever thought of that, faking your own death? Like, what would you do with that power? Take all the wonderful things that happen on any given day in this wonderful little catastrophe we call life. And take that and be like, what if I wasn't connected to anything? What if I could start fresh, completely over? My goal would be to fake my death, and then I would go live out west for a bit. Then I'd go live in Japan. And I don't even know how I'd do it, because you don't have like a social security number if you're dead, which pretty much at this point, everything is connected to that. That's your number. That's your identification number, which we are all labeled by. So if you don't have one of those, it's tough. So you got to find people that are willing to pay you under the table. You got to work this I don't know where my next meal's going to be or where I'm going to be resting my head the next night. But there is a certain romantic charm to that, where it's always like an adventure. It's something you would see in movies or anime even. Just that free lifestyle, not tied down by anything really, because everyone thinks you're dead. And I'm not suggesting everyone goes out and fakes their death so they don't have to go to work, but there's that thought that crosses your mind every so often, and that kind of fantasy. Because right now, how everything's structured in life, and especially for me, like I've been holding very true to that idea that I said in a previous podcast about don't spend money and I'll never play the games, because I spend the money and then I never play the games. Right? Something like that. And I've actually been shaping my mind to become incredibly frugal, and it's interesting. It's very interesting to see my mind kind of shift to be more money conscious. Because when you have, I don't know what you would call it, the big boy job. At the moment, I feel like that's what I have, the big boy job. I feel like it's okay because I know my paycheck's going to be big. However, I got student loans to pay. I got bills to pay. I need to be smart. Can't be just throwing around money. Right? And what I'm talking about is that I'm getting into that mindset. And if you were to fake your death and then just disappear, you wouldn't necessarily have that mindset, because you wouldn't have that money, but you would have this kind of free-ranged freedom. I don't know. It's a very romantic idea. I like it. Maybe one day I'll give it a shot, fake my death. But how would you fake your death? Because now there's ways that everyone can be able to identify you or find you or something like that. How would you fake your death? I think what I would do is I would do something almost paranormal, I guess. Because there are cases around the world that like people disappear in very strange instances and are never seen again and are considered paranormal. Like it gets news, but then at the same time, it's never really solved. And I don't even know how I would do it either. I think I would need to bring up this topic again and have someone else to bounce the ideas off of. Like, hey, you there. How would you fake your death? I'm writing this down. This is going to be a question. The first idea that comes to mind is the idea, probably blow up my house in some great fashion, but then in the basement, like where it wouldn't be blown up, just have all these like computers and all this crazy stuff that didn't necessarily mean anything, but then have like something that almost looked like a teleporter, right? And then people would be wrapping their brains about, what was this guy doing? Did he figure out teleportation? Did he go to another dimension? And have them think that, and really I just went 2 blocks down the street, but everyone will think I'm dead. And it would be sad, like your parents. But the thing is, if your parents would be upset. That's what I mean by that in your family. But if you were thinking, I'll let them know, it has a way of slipping out. So you got to commit, 100% commit. Committing. That is the main moral of this podcast. You got to commit to faking your death. And in some situations, maybe people would really benefit from that. Have their parents think they're dead. And that's an option. It's a legit option. I ain't judging. If it's a bad situation there, get out. I just kind of scared myself because one of the cords shifted and it like moved a lot of stuff on my desk at once over there. And I didn't even know if it picked it up. I hope not. And I looked over. I'm like, oh, talking about all this paranormal stuff. But yeah, let's shift over to a topic that I actually wanted to talk about, which is really showing you the quality and where this podcast is going, is the Super Mario Lego sets. Now, this was my one big purchase in the past month, and it was about $50 to $60, and I felt it. I picked it up off the shelf, and it hurt. It really did. Because one thing I like about games is that, there's sometimes products that they'll license with, like Lego, or they'll have little miniatures of all the characters, which I actually like that stuff sometimes more than the game, just so it's almost like a reminder. So I bought the Super Mario Lego set. And if you don't know what this is a fancy new take on Mario combining with Lego. And I will say that Nintendo always wants to try something different. People complain about it, people hate it. However, I appreciate it, because sometimes you get some cool stuff. So I am an uncle. I have a little niece. We put this together. It was a nice little bonding experience. She really enjoyed it. And then once we got to play with it, that's when she really liked it. So what it is you're building almost your own levels, but in real life. So if you know Super Mario Maker 2 or anything like that, it is a real life version of that. So the Super Mario Legos, what's going on there is that you build all these little sets for almost these little world maps, right? And the Mario toy is very square, kind of pudgy. But my niece has already knocked him around quite a bit, and he holds up. And there's this little light on the bottom of him. And also there's a computer screen on his chest, and then he has a little screen for his mouth and eyes. So when he's not turned on, he looks like this hollow shell of a former Italian man. It's actually kind of scary. But when you turn him on, his eyes fill in the eye holes, his mouth pops up, and he reacts to stuff you do. Like literally, my niece was playing it, and she accidentally dropped him, and he gets these swirls in his eyes, and he goes, oh, like Mario does whenever he loses in a level. And then whenever you jump around on the different blocks, it's actually able to tell what kind of block you're on. So if you're on a green block, it's like, oh, you're on grass, and it'll show it on his stomach on the screen. Or if you're in lava, he's like, I'm in lava, and he keeps like going, oh, or he'll do the Mario sound whenever he gets hurt by fire. And then there's enemies, and the enemies have these little blocks on top of their heads that have this like little scan code on them where Mario can jump on, and he actually is able to do damage to them because you hear this stomping noise and then you hear a coin. And then after that, I don't know how to put it. The goal is to get to the goal post, which is its own little square thing that you got to scan. But there's so much other stuff you can do, like between there, like collect coins, defeat enemies. Now, you can do this on your own, and the Mario character will kind of like guesstimate how many coins you had, right? Now, if you connect it to your smartphone, which here was the big downfall, I open it up, I'm ready to put this together. I had to download an app to look at the instructions. Now, I understand what Nintendo is doing because the youth of this generation is so tech savvy with tablets and stuff that this would be easier for them, because when it pops up and tells you where to put it, you can move it around. You could actually have a little diagram that shows the piece floating above the other piece and them going together. So it visually shows you how to do it, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing. I think it's just Nintendo adjusting to the times and understanding the target audience, which is children in America. Those Japanese kids, they're smart. They're taught right here. Parents pretty much just hand a kid a tablet and it's like, hey, this is going to raise you and teach you everything while I go have sex with a guy down the street in the back shed. That is how you put together these sets. And then it actually has a little diagram and a little video that shows you what you're supposed to do. And it's funny, my niece was able to put it together, and she is 4. And she was able to put it together just looking at this stuff and figure it out just by the visual cues, which also I appreciate. So also what you can do with this app is you can see the other sets, and then you also can pretty much build your own levels. You can post them and share them on the, I don't know what it would be, I guess on like the forum or whatever. So if you're listening and you played Mario Maker, this is it's just a real life version of it that combines a little bit of an app. In Mario Maker, you build your Mario levels, you save it, you share it to the whole world wide web of Nintendo, and anyone can play your level or anyone can look up your level. This is the same thing here, but you're building Lego sets, which I actually really like because it is making kids think, making kids put things together, but also they're doing it in kind of a context of something that they like. Now, am I going to buy another set? Maybe someday if I get $1 million and I become a bazillionaire. I don't know. Because that set I got was a starter set. And you need a starter set before you can get any other set. And any other set, they'll label it. It's clearly labeled as expansion set. Like, it will not have Mario in it. So if you get the set and you're sitting there, you're like, oh, there's no Mario. That's why. But some of the expansion sets might be $20, might be a little less. There's even these little packets, those blind grab bags that you can purchase for like $4, where it's an enemy or it might be a suit upgrade for Mario that you can purchase. But Legos are not cheap. Legos have always been expensive. Like forever. And I swore I've talking about this before. So I won't go too far into it. But Legos are expensive. Like, damn. Now, I think it was worth the $50 to $60 to spend that time with my niece. And it stays at my house here. And whenever she comes over, she's like, can we play with that? Can we play with that? You know, she's so excited to. So it's cool. It's a neat idea. I would like to see it expanded upon and it to grow. And maybe down the line I will get a few more sets. The thing I like about it is just I love Lego. I've grown up with it. I love Mario. I've grown up with it. So it's the best of both worlds. And it's actually high quality too. And it's just fun. You know. Even I found myself sitting there while I'm letting my dogs out. I'm sitting there, turn on Mario. I'm just jumping around. I'm sitting there. I realize like 15 minutes have gone by. I'm like, wow. And there's also ways on the app for you to kind of create other things to do. Very similar to Nintendo Labo. And if you don't know what that is, Nintendo Labo is a product for Nintendo Switch where you build stuff out of cardboard and then you're actually able to play with it and interact with it in a way that also interacts with the Switch. Now, I haven't gotten myself one of them. I have played it before at a bud's house, but I haven't got myself one just because, unfortunately, in the time that I was just sitting down experimenting with his set, we've done everything there is to do. So it's the idea is really cool. The concept's really cool. There's even one set where you make this giant, almost like Evangelion cardboard robot suit, and you walk around and you punch stuff in a city. And it's all held together by like strings and stuff. And I was just able to sort of experience it. And the only reason I say just able to was because I'm a very tall guy. I'm 6'3". This thing can be adjusted for taller people, but like 6'3" and above, it struggles. But it was cool. I was running around a city, punching stuff, breaking stuff. It was a good time. So Nintendo likes to be creative. They like to throw some stuff around. I like it. It's neat. It's fun. Also, I noticed the Heart of Deimos, the Warframe update. That's coming at the end of August. They just showed at TennoCon. And just to give you a little background, Warframe is a looter shooter. I've talked about it before briefly in my kind of world building and nerd stuff regarding Archetype, which I have found the original world building document for Archetype, and I've been breaking it down into different chunks. I'm so stupid. In different chunks. So we go over different races and talk about everything with them, and then we kind of talk about them all connected in a bigger picture. So that actually will probably be the next set of podcasts that will be coming out, where it is just talking about the nerd stuff and kind of having a different tone. So that's coming. Back to Warframe. Warframe has been a game that I really enjoy. I really like the world. I like the gameplay. Do I understand what I'm doing at any given time? No, I do not. It is not at all beginner friendly. I had to literally dissect forums and dissect guides and posts to figure out how to make the best Warframe I can, because what they do is they set up the challenge to, which is the part I like, where, okay, let's say in between level 10 and 20, and they rank things by levels, but levels are weird. So by 10, in between 10 and 20, that's easy mode. So I can enjoy a majority of the content through easy mode. Okay, so 20 to 30 is going to be normal. 30 to 40 is going to be hard. Anything above that is like, you are a, I'm trying to find a way to put this. You are a master's level. You may have a doctorate in understanding Warframe on how the systems work and how your character works. Well, I only began to break through the surface that I've been scratching on when I got about 150 hours in. So 150 hours I had to put in to get there. Now I really enjoy it. And the Heart of Deimos update looks really friggin' cool. And I want to be sure that I'm able to paint you the picture of what Warframe is. It's a third-person shooter, but also a third-person samurai, not samurai, but a melee action game. I mean, I run around with a katana and a shotgun. And my chosen Warframe is called Atlas, where he pretty much uses rock and stone to be able to protect himself by building walls. I can petrify enemies, turn them to stone, and then I can just start punching them. And pretty much I made the one punch build, which everyone calls, where my punch ability, pretty much one punch for anything that isn't a quote-unquote boss, it's dead. It takes up a lot of energy, but it's dead. So that's what I've been working on with my Atlas. Also, I'm able to summon these two golems that run around and just punch stuff with me. So it's cool. That's my playstyle. There's a lot of playstyles. There's a lot of different Warframes. I'm not going to get into the lore, but TennoCon is their kind of gaming event where they show off the new stuff. And I'm actually surprised that the Heart of Deimos is going to be coming out in a reasonable amount of time, because the other stuff they've shown in the past, they will just never come out. One did, the other expansion still hasn't. That's beside the point. And people have a lot of complaints about it. People like to complain about a lot of stuff. I understand some of their complaints. I enjoy it because I will pick it up and play it really hardcore for like 3 months, and then I'll put it down. Same thing with Destiny. It's one of those things I always come back to, but when I feel I've exhausted everything I want to do, then it's okay to take a break so I don't burn myself out. Yeah, the Heart of Deimos update looks great. They're going to be adding in mechs. They're going to be adding in a new explorable open world, but it's on this like kind of planet that's infected with the infested, which is just this virus that's taken over everything and mutates it into kind of a zombie alien race. It's cool. They dropped that, and I actually just finished watching the teaser for it, and it looks fun. Also, I know that the people who make it sometimes like to really oversell stuff, and then it's a little lackluster. But it's also free to play. I can't complain. You know, the amount of entertainment I've gotten out of it, you know, I hadn't had to pay for a thing, so I think it's great. So that was the most recent thing I've noticed that happened in the world of games. I did get to play a game yesterday with the friends called Small World. And this edition was Small World Underground. I don't know if you've ever played the board game, but if you like fantasy games that also kind of mix in classes, races, and a few elements of the game Risk, like that old board game, this is for you. I liked it. I don't necessarily like the player versus player aspects of it, only because the people I play with are strategic geniuses and are like can look at something and be 3 steps ahead. And I'm like barely even able to finish my turn just because I'm like, oh, I guess I'll do this. No, Small World is a very good time. It's a board game. I want to be sure I pointed that out too. And I will say I apologize if you hear any sounds in the background. Like I said earlier, the quality is better and the mic's picking up more, but I'm still in the process of setting up a I don't know, a better space. And also being down in the basement, if there's like a dog right above me on the floor above me, you're going to hear it moving around sometimes. And of course, the one dog's like, oh, I'm just going to play and roll around right here above this. And I'm like, of course. But back to board game, Small World. Yes, it's good. There's different races and different classes that you can pick. And then you kind of just spread your characters out across the board. You try to conquer lands. You try to take over areas. It's enjoyable. I say if you're interested in anything like that, I would recommend it. It is a good time. Even though I told my friends because I lost that. Hold on a second. My dog's decided it's going to start barking. So I'm going to go handle this. Hey! Shut your mouth! Be quiet! I'm back. I don't know if I'll leave this in, but I also enjoy the very real aspect of sometimes I have to step away to scream at my dogs because they're being loud. Because they like to ruin my life. Because that's what pets do some days. Where was I? Small World. Yes, Small World. Play it. It's good. It's fun. I enjoyed it. I did tell my friends, I'm like, this game's a bag of ass. But it's because I lost. I was close to winning, though. I was close. I started picking up momentum at the end, but it wasn't enough. So how's everyone else's pandemic going? You hanging in there? I hope you are. I'm getting to the point where I'm just being driven out of my mind. Because working from home, it's tough. And a lot of people don't realize that. People who still have to work, they're like, you get to work from home. And I'm in the boat like, you get to work actually wherever you work. You know, it's always the grass is greener on the other side. I'm the type of person where I do better if I am moving, if I'm constantly doing something. And being stuck at home, unfortunately, my job lends itself to have the people I work with think that I'm available all the time because I'm home. No, that's not the case. Not at all. I have a life. I have things need done. And a lot of people also think, oh, you don't have a family, so you have nothing going on. Bitch, I got laundry. I got bills to pay. I got dogs to take care of. I got a house that I clean. I got personal projects that I want to pursue so I don't have to be in this shithole job for the rest of my life. But no, I'm not busy. I'm not busy, Karen. Flippin' Karens. Now I brought up the Karens. I've gotten that far. This is when we know we've made it. We've hit peak content when I start talking about Karens. Oh, I will give you a slight update. It will probably be next week or the week after that I will have the first guest on the podcast, which is very exciting. I'm excited. This is my good friend from college, and we are going to just talk about the crap out of art and anime because that's just our thing. And sometimes that goes into the game territory. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get his take on Ashura's Wrath, a game for the Xbox 360 and PS3. And if you've never played it, find a way to play it. I know there's an emulator floating around on the internet for the PS3 version, but it is a fantastic title. Fantastic. Beautiful work of art. Mwah. It's just, I love it. I love it. It blends a lot of that type of game that is pretty much an interactive movie, but also it actually has gameplay elements and areas where you run around and do stuff. I don't know. I'll get his hot take on it because he's never played it until just recently. And I was actually shocked because all the games that I've played that I really hold near and dear to my heart, I might cut that out because I'm an idiot. Games I hold really near and dear to my heart, this guy has shown me. So I'm like, yes, time to give back. Play Ashura's Wrath. And then he did, and he absolutely loved that. To look forward to that. I actually started drawing again for fun and to kind of just get my creative thoughts out there, which is wonderful because I had literally been on this sort of hiatus where I wasn't drawing at all. I was burnt out. And I've been just watching some YouTube videos about it. I've been watching anime. I've just been watching a lot of anime. And I just kind of got inspired to just start doodling while I'm watching the show. So that's great. I'm out. I think I'm out of the burnout phase. We'll see. But that's all I got for today. I hope everyone's doing well during your pandemic. I hope you're taking care of yourself. Go out there and do some creative thing. Whether it be make a podcast, whether it be do some artistic thing, whether it's make a card or anything like that. Go out there, make a goal, do it this week. Then report back to me with a 5-page essay, APA format, telling me how you liked it. Okay. I'll see you later. Goodbye. I love you. If you figure out your plans about next Sunday, let me know. And we'll schedule something. We'll hang out. Okay. Bye.